Alright, what brings us here for this joyous occasion is this right here is your oil pump drive assembly, and this right here is your camshaft position sensor. This is a 2006 Jeep Wrangler TJ Unlimited with the 4.0 straight 6 engine in it. I was getting the P0016 code, and I checked the code. It says it was a crankshaft position sensor, which is this piece. Going down the road, once you get up to 3,200 RPMs, it starts spitting and sputtering. It's in limp mode, and I tried clearing the code. It wouldn't go away. I read on the Jeep forums that it could possibly be the oil pump drive assembly, which is this piece here that kind of looks like a old school distributor. And have to pardon my camera work here. This piece here is what synchronizes your fuel injectors. There's a gear on the piece. Let's see if this sunlight's going to be a bitch. This gear right here is driven by your cam, and then this piece down here at the bottom inserts into your oil pump. So your oil pump's driven off of there. There are these two holes right here that need to line up when you install the new piece. The new piece comes with a pin. You need to make sure these are lined up and pinned before you pull that, according to all the forums. So I did all that, and I still have the check engine light that won't clear. I still have the symptoms of the chugging at 3,200 RPM. So we're going to see if we can get to the bottom of this. The first thing we're going to do is go back and make sure this thing is at top dead center again. So the first thing we're going to do is shine a light down here, and I've already done this, but for video purposes we're going to do it again. It's really hard to see down in there, but I don't really see any timing marks on this thing because everything's electronically regulated. It may not be. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the spark plugs out on the number 1 cylinder, which is the front one on this straight 6 engine, and we're going to get this thing on a compression stroke and bring it to top dead center. We're going to start by taking this line here out of the way, and so we can get to the coil packs, and we'll go from there. The first thing we're going to do is turn this mass airflow sensor out of here, just a quarter turn to the left, and it pops right out. This thing doesn't look too bad, but if it did, we'd clean it with some mass airflow sensor cleaner while we got it out. If you don't know about that thing, it makes a big difference. Make sure you get some mass airflow sensor cleaner, use the right stuff, and you will be glad you did. So we're going to take this hose clamp here loose, and we're going to take this hose clamp here loose right there at the air box, and I'll get back to you in a minute. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this spark rail right here with these coil packs. There's 4 let's see, 13mm bolts that we're going to take off, and that will pop. The boots are on the other side of that, sticking to the spark plugs like the regular spark plug wires, and when we get done with that, we'll get back to you. Okay, so we've got everything out of the way here. You can see these boots, whenever you put it back together, there's a little spring in there that will contact the top of your spark plugs. This lifted right out. There were no problems there getting it out. We're going to take this number 1 spark plug out here in a minute, so I'm going to go grab a spark plug socket and a 3/4 inch wrench. A 3/4 inch wrench is what we're going to use on the front of the crankshaft to rotate the engine, so we can see when the compression stroke is towards getting it towards top dead center. Alright, so here's the spark plug hole here. If I can get the light to work. Alright. Here's the spark plug hole, and what we're going to do is we're going to put our finger over the spark plug hole and wait to feel, you should be able to get your finger right in there. And then we're going to go on the front of the crankshaft, which is right there, that big bolt there that is a 3/4 inch, and we're going to turn it clockwise until we feel pressure building up against our finger from inside the cylinder. Okay, so down here, see the wrench, I've got it hooked to the crankshaft there, and right here I have a piece of plastic coat hanger. Don't want to score up the inside of the cylinder walls there, so you insert that into the spark plug hole, and I had my finger against it and I heard it hissing air and rushing air by my finger, so I know that I'm on the compression stroke. And as I start moving this up in a clockwise direction, it will start moving that rod up, and it's best to have a hold of that, and I've only got 2 hands, so I'm gonna have to get off the camera for a minute. But if you hold on to that, you'll feel it moving up, and then you'll feel it flatten out and start moving down. When it starts that, move it back up just barely, and you'll be at top dead center. Alright, so the next thing we need to do is get us a little working room here again, as we're going to go back to the oil pump drive assembly. Some refer to this as a camshaft synchronizer, but we're going to take these bolts out here. As you can see, that's a Torx, and this is a, I don't know if it'll show here, a T25. So we're going to take these off here, and I won't bore you with the simple act of taking these off, and I'll be back in a second. So here is our lesson in doing things when you're cold, tired, and pissed off. This hole here, right here, the little one, is supposed to be lined up with this over here, and as you can see, we're about 180 degrees out. So what we are going to do is we're going to take this back off by taking this bolt here out, which is not a metric bolt. It is actually, you'll see a lot of videos that say to use a 13 millimeter. It is actually a 1/2 inch, and that is a 5/16 bolt with a 18 thread pitch on it. My other one, for some reason, was kind of tapered on the end and stripped out. Had a hard time going back in. I went and bought a tap and die set. Bought a metric one, got home, it wasn't the right one, had to leave again. That's why I was pissed off, and led to me obviously not looking at things 100% correctly, and who knows, maybe the damn thing was 180 degrees out the whole time I've had it. But anyway, I'm going to take that one bolt out with a 1/2 inch wrench. I found it easiest to come from under here like this. It would do you good to get a magnet on a stick or something like that to help put this little clip back in, because there's not really a whole lot of room down there for your fingers. It can be a real pain in the ass. That was actually the hardest part of any of this so far, was getting that bolt back in. So I'm going to take that bolt out. I'm going to turn this back around and repin it and set this thing back in there, and I'll get back to you in a few minutes. Okay, so we got our little nut loose. We're going to fish down in here and get that little bastard out of there. We dropped the clip, but that's fine, we'll get it. Not a big deal. And there we go. Probably should have done this first, but we're going to take this little bolt off here. We may not need to. Let's see. Alright. So that lifted right on out. Like I said, like I showed you on the one earlier, there's that. So if, I don't know if we can, see if I can figure out how to get the, maybe it'll, if you look down in there, you can see the cam gear there, but also if you're looking straight down, that's the drive for the oil pump. And whenever these spiral gears go down in there and that thing turns in there, that needs to lock, this blade looking end here needs to lock down into the oil pump. So if it's not doing that whenever you set it, this part right here will not flip flush against the gasket down there. If that's not sitting down flush, just take you a long regular screwdriver and turn down in there and turn the oil pump until it matches up to where this will sit down in there. So what we're going to do now is, this piece came with this little clip here inserted from the bottom, and we're going to spin this around to where that hole is lined up with that pin, and we should be pretty close right there, and voila. So now we have this thing pinned just like it was when the factory came. If you'll look right here, you can see how that second tooth there lines up with the camshaft position sensor, and you'll also notice where the word top is stamped into the top of that wheel, that it is matching up here, and that's how it was when it came from the factory. So we're going to try inserting this thing back in here, and hopefully the oil pump will line up and we won't have to fuck with that anymore. These wires here. Okay, and see, oh, did we get it? Ah, we did. All right, we're in there. We're in there. The holes are lined up. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put our clip back in here and hook our spark plugs back up and our air lines, our air box lines and everything, and fire this bad boy up and see what we've got. See if we can get rid of this check engine light. Okay, so we've got that bolt in. It took a few minutes there. That thing's a real pain in the ass. Don't be surprised if it takes you a while. So we've got our pin right here that we put through there, and we're just gonna poke it back out the back side there. We don't want that thing getting sheared off when we fire it up. So right now I'm going to put the spark plug back in and get this thing put back together and fire it up and see if we can get rid of this code again. Hopefully we've got some success this time. Okay, so let's see if this thing starts up here. It does start up. Still got our check engine light on there. Doesn't feel like it's idling too roughly. Feels a little punchy there. Check engine light's still on. Grab the code reader here, and we'll clear this light, and then we'll go from there. So what we're gonna do, down here by your door hinge, yeah, there's my 550 door keeper there, 550 cord. Learn it, love it, it's good shit. Alright, so go to the little Actron pocket scan. We're going to hit read with the key on, and it says we've got two codes. P0016. That's the offending code that got all this shit started. And that's just the same thing. So we're going to hold down the erase button. It's going to say erase. And hell yeah, we want it erased. Give it a minute. Done. It's done. Alright, so the codes are erased. Now we're going to go back up here. We're going to shut the car off. And we're going to fire it up. And the engine code is gone. Last night, the son of a bitch came right back on. We'll see what it does. So far, so good. Might be time for a test spin here in a minute. Let's give it some gas, see what it does. Still no light. Nah, this is a record. Alright. Let this thing warm up to temperature. It's a little chilly today. And see if that has any bearing on it. We've got almost 238,000 miles on this bad boy. Be time for some power plant decisions soon. And so far, thank you guys for watching. I'll try to include a tools list, and I'll answer any questions the best I can. This was a first for me. I'll go take this thing for a test spin, and I'll add the trip report in the comments. Thank you all for watching. Bye.